You're excited for an episode when Zencaster is telling you you can't record because you're trying to hit the record button so fast, but it hasn't done the health checks yet. I don't know why it says health check. I'm guessing it's just like a technology check just to make sure like the Wi-Fi connection is good and whatnot. But I'm like trying to like hit record and it's like, wait, we haven't done the health check yet. I'm like, come on, let's go, let's record this. But welcome back to Radical Disruption. I'm obviously very excited for this episode. I listened to a Tony Robbins interview on Diary of a CEO that I cannot stop thinking about. I listened to this about like 2.5, maybe 3 months ago, whenever it like first initially launched. And I needed to come on here, create a podcast episode about this, share it with you because it ties into something that is really, really, really important for us as entrepreneurs to be thinking about, to be honing in on this skill, especially in the AI era that we are in. I shouldn't even say AI era. I mean, this is just the reality of how things are going to be for the foreseeable, the rest of our lives. So I don't know if it's really like an era anymore. But, anyways, it's very, very important. And I've been implementing this into my own business. And the amount of positive feedback that I'm getting from students when I send them reviews or feedback or answer their questions is actually crazy. And it's because I've been practicing this daily in my own life and business since I listened to this episode. So, Tony was asked the question, if you were 18 years old right now in this AI world, what would you focus on? And his answer honestly stopped me in my tracks. I don't really know what I was expecting, but this was really, really, really good. He said the three most important skills are the ones that help you learn faster. And the number one skill, the one that matters the most, that is more important than anything else right now, he said, is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. And then he said this line that I've not been able to get out of my head. He said, when you recognize patterns, you eliminate fear. He talked about how patterns are literally how humanity has survived. We figured out the seasons and we stopped being afraid of winter. We figured out the patterns of the land and we stopped being hunters and gatherers and built civilizations. Pattern recognition is a skill that took us from surviving to thriving. And in a world right now where AI is changing everything every single week, something new is happening literally probably every single hour. It feels like recently the people who can see the patterns are the ones who are going to win, period. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Okay, Maya, but can't AI recognize patterns too? Like, isn't that literally what AI does? And you're not wrong. AI is incredible at recognizing patterns. So stick with me here because this is really important. And I want you to lock in on this because the skill isn't necessarily pattern recognition versus AI. The skill is pattern recognition with AI because you need to be leveraging AI. So it's not necessarily that like AI is not ever going to be able to recognize patterns at this level. That's not the case. Like, we're not comparing. It's pattern recognition plus AI makes it like that is what's going to take us to the next level. There's a huge difference. Here's what I mean. Think of AI like the world's most advanced GPS. It can show you every single road, every shortcut, every traffic jam. It can tell you when there's a cop. It can tell you every possible route from point A to point B. It has all of the information, right? And it is the fastest map that you could ever own. It is going to read things faster than you could ever read on your own, right? But a GPS is not going to turn on by itself. A GPS does not decide where you're going. You have to know where you're going, right? You have to type in that address and then this is the part that everybody forgets. You have to know enough about where you're going to recognize when the GPS is actually sending you down the wrong road because GPS is sometimes wrong. Anyone who has ever ended up in a cornfield because of Apple Maps told them, to turn left knows exactly what I'm talking about. AI works the exact same way. AI will absolutely find patterns for you, but there are three things that I believe that AI will never do on its own. And this is the entire pattern recognition skill that I'm talking about here. So, number one, I said number one, and as I hold up number two on my fingers. Number one, AI will not tell you what to look at in the first place. You have to be the one that notices that something feels off. You have to be the one that notices a result is a little bit weird, notices that the same thing happens over and over and over again, and decide, I need to dig into this. AI does not get curious. AI does not have that gut feeling. It is not a human being. You do. Number two, AI only finds the patterns that you ask it to find. If you don't know enough to ask the right question, AI is going to hand you back a beautiful, confident, totally useless answer. The quality of what AI gives you is a direct reflection of the quality of what you bring to the table. You've heard this a bunch of times, but a garbage input is going to give you a garbage output, right? And so you have to be able to ask the right questions, and you have to be able to know patterns in your own day-to-day life and in your own business to be able to say, no, that's off, or yeah, like I do have a question about this, like let's dive into this more. Number three, AI will confidently tell you a pattern that is completely wrong, and it will not flinch. It will give you a pattern from your last 30 posts that sounds really, really smart and it looks really great on paper, and it could just be like the straight up totally wrong answer as to why the post performed, or why these posts didn't perform well, or why they did perform well. And if you don't have enough lived experience and enough context to go, wait a second, that's not actually it, you're going to build an entire business, an entire strategy on a pattern that doesn't actually exist, or a pattern that isn't correct. So pattern recognition in the AI era is not human versus AI. It's you being the person who notices something, you being the person who knows how to ask AI the right questions about it, and you being the person who can look at what AI hands you back and go, yes, that's it, or no, that's not it. AI is the GPS, you are still the driver, and the driver still has to know where they're going and know the road well enough to catch it when the GPS gets it wrong. And you're going to be able to do that through your own lived experiences, but also through pattern recognition. And so the entrepreneurs that are winning right now are not the ones who can analyze the data the best. ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, Gemini, it can do that for us, right? The ones that are winning are the ones who notice, they ask the right questions, and have enough experience to really fact check the answers. AI is just simply the vehicle. Pattern recognition, though, is really that steering wheel in your vehicle. And I don't care how nice your car is. I don't care if you're driving a Lamborghini. I don't care if you're driving a car that's, 30 years old. If nobody is steering, you are crashing. And there's one more thing that AI cannot do for you. And we're going to get to this in a second. But it's, I'll dive more into this in just a second. But that is basically that AI can't see patterns in your brain, right? It can't see your thoughts. It can't see your behaviors, the way that you're self-sabotaging, the way that you show up. That is you. That is your job always. Now, here's the thing. If you listen to last week's episode where I talked about the studying 200 high-performing Instagram posts, what do you think I was actually doing there? I was pattern recognizing. I was recognizing patterns. That entire episode was me looking at all of those posts across totally different niches and asking one question. I was asking, what is the pattern? And the difference between people who are growing on Instagram and people who are not growing on Instagram is, drum roll, whether or not they can recognize their own patterns with how their audience is consuming their content and recognize the patterns as to what the data is telling them, right? They are able to see what's working and apply it. Hopefully you're getting the idea that pattern recognition is important. Pattern recognition really is the single biggest difference between entrepreneurs I see growing right now and the ones that are just simply stuck. But pattern recognition isn't just about Instagram content or any content in general. It's a skill that touches on everything in your business and your life. It's how I coach my scalability students. When I do document reviews, I'm looking for patterns. Why is this funnel converting, whereas this funnel isn't converting? Why does this person's offer feel really sticky? Why does this one, feel flat? Why is the messaging landing? Why is it not like? There's all of that is patterns, right? And that's going to come through the experience of trying to recognize the patterns. The more that I recognize the patterns in my own business, the more I'm able to recognize it in other people's businesses, and the more that I study other people's businesses, the better I get at studying other people's businesses, right? And the same goes for you in your niche. And it's how the best teachers and the best coaches in the world operate. They're not just memorizing scripts, they're recognizing patterns and why their students are getting stuck and meeting them there. Now, again, coming back to what I was saying, I was going to come back to in just a second. Now, this is the second that we're coming back to it. The deepest level here, and the part that I really, really want you to hear, is pattern recognition in your own brain. I want you to think about things like, why do you keep procrastinating on the same thing every single Monday? Why do you keep self-sabotaging the week before a launch? Why do you have the same recurring thought after every sales call that doesn't close? What's the pattern in your thoughts, in your beliefs, in your actions, in your behaviors that's either pushing you forward or holding you back? Because honestly, you cannot change a pattern that you cannot see. And majority of people are walking around running the same patterns on repeat for years and years and years without ever stopping to ask why. If you are someone who has asked yourself the question of why is this person succeeding when I'm not, or why is so and so, doing this thing when I haven't been able to figure it out, patterns, right? And it's not always external patterns. Oftentimes it's those internal patterns. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to start getting better at pattern recognition, but not by looking outside of yourself. I want you to start looking inward, because if you cannot recognize the patterns in your own brain, in your own behavior, in your own reactions, you are never going to be able to recognize them anywhere else. Pattern recognition is a muscle, and the gym is you. Well, actually, it's your brain, but that's part of you too. So here is the exercise for you. For the next 7 days, at the end of each day, I want you to write down 3 things, just 3 things. And it could literally be like one simple sentence. You don't have to journal pages and pages and pages on this. You could even type this into, your Claude or your Gemini or your Chat GPT and be like, hey, I'm trying to get better at pattern recognition. And this is what's coming from my brain right now. And I'm just going to leave this. And you can create a whole project inside of Claude that is going to remember these patterns. Because again, it's our job to feed these AI bots with these patterns. Claude can't be in my head. I mean, Claude is in my head all the time. If you picking up what I'm saying now, picking up what I'm putting down, but like Claude isn't actually in my head. So anyways, here are the things that you're going to write down. Number 1, what is one thought that I kept having today? This could be any thought. This could be a positive thought. This could be a negative thought. It could be something like, why am I so behind? Or I should be doing more. Or why isn't this working? Whatever it is, I want you to write it down. What is that recurring thought happening? And number 2, what is one thing that I avoided today? What did you push off until tomorrow? What did you scroll past instead of doing? Or what were you doing and then you picked up your phone to start scrolling on Instagram to avoid doing, right? What did you forget to do? I want you to write that down. And then number 3, what is one thing that made me feel something today? Again, good or bad. Maybe it's a direct message that really lit you up and got you excited. Maybe it was a comment that you read that really stung. Maybe it's a task that drained you. Maybe it's a conversation with a client that really energized you. I want you to write that down. That is it. Those 3 things. After 7 days, you're going to be able to start seeing more patterns, right? You're going to be able to look at that list of the 3 things you wrote down every single day for 7 days. On day 8, you're going to be able to sit down with your list. You're going to be able to read it. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to see the patterns that you did not know were there. You're going to see the same thoughts that were showing up 4, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, maybe even in a row. You're going to start seeing the same things that you keep avoiding. You're going to start seeing these patterns that are not serving you, or patterns that are serving you, right? That you really want to lean more into. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And that is how you start to exercise that pattern recognition muscle. I'm doing it daily. I hope that you join me and start doing it daily as well. And if you want help building the patterns that actually grow a business, that is literally what I do inside of Scalability. Link is in the show notes. And that is it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in.